So this is what I want to tell you before we start. We're talking about the punch, and you only get out what you put in. You put in 0, you get out 0. You put in a little bit, you get back a little bit. If you put in the time, energy, and effort, that's when you master or go to a higher level of what you're trying to do. Anybody out there that plays a musical instrument or is highly proficient in some sport or another, bowling, tennis, basketball, I don't care. What we look forward to seeing is what I call muscle memory. And this is what we're talking about. There's many different ways to throw a punch. I know that. Some styles, they use the whole hand. They'll punch with all these knuckles. Some styles only use these front knuckles. And that's what I'm going to teach you. Now, that's not the only way that I can teach you to punch. That's a way to punch, and especially if you're learning and this is something that you're new to, or you're not really apt to, or that you don't really understand, well, I'm going to explain it to you, okay? The hand is made to hit this way. Novice, intermediate, even advanced people will punch this way. But this is so, there's a bone here, this bone, and what happens is, if you look at the fist, it actually looks like it's added on to the bone structure. And this breaks. And it even has a name. They call it a boxer break, okay? We don't want to hit with this knuckle because if you hit the wrong way, you break this bone. Now, if you want to learn to punch with all 4 knuckles, you can. I'm not against it. It's not what I do. I use other palm techniques, other hand techniques that I use, that I've trained for many years. But in order for you to be able to punch somebody and do enough of damage to them, hurt them enough, you need to have a fist that's made like a piece of concrete. And if you go to one of my training videos, creating the iron fist, iron feet, iron fist, you have to have at least one technique, and one is with the fist. So what I'm showing you here is how to practice developing this fist from ground zero. No, you don't have to know nothing. What you have to do is commit. You need to commit to a couple of times a week. 2, I would say, is the minimum or the least amount you could possibly practice, but consistently. Every single week at the same time and place, you're going to practice. I say your practice is, if you're going to practice twice a week, I would suggest that you practice at least for half an hour to 40 minutes. 20 minutes is not really a lot, but it's acceptable, I guess. It depends on you. Do you want to be prepared? Okay? So what we're looking at here is, I showed you 3 examples of 3 of my students punching. One is a novice, the second guy is an intermediate or intermediate level, and then the last one is a high level. You can tell the difference. Okay, so here's the things to look for when you're practicing your punches. You should practice at least minimum twice a week. 3 times a week would be a lot better. The more you put in, the better you'll be, the quicker it is. Just like practicing a musical instrument. It becomes muscle memory at one point. You don't have to think about what you're doing. It's just, you know that the C is here and the E is over here. It's the same thing with your hands and feet. The same thing when you fight. It has to be instinctive. It has to come automatically. So if you look in the one video, you'll see the punch is done this way. You line it up with your center line this way. Okay? If you can see how straight that is. Okay? And I'm hitting with 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm hitting with this point on my fist when I make contact. I don't lock the elbow. I don't hyperextend. That's how you hyperextend the elbow and get hurt, especially in the middle of a fight. You don't need to be damaging yourself. So what you want to do is you want to just bring that almost to a total lock. So it looks like this. Okay? You're not locking that elbow. You're not hyperextending it. The other thing is, you want to keep your shoulders straight. You don't want this. This is wrong. This is wrong. Okay? This is wrong. And this is wrong. So you want to use a horse stance. Excuse me. Then you want to use a horse stance. Single punch. Double punch. And you want to keep your back straight. Now, what I suggest to some of my students, my novices, students that just beginning and don't know anything, I say, get yourself up against a wall, do your horse stance. Watch you don't hurt yourself. And you can see, this is where your shoulders should be. Okay? Okay. These are the things you do, and I would suggest that you do. Actually, to tell you the truth, I don't have a problem with telling you to do 500 punches every time you train. 1,000 would be better, okay? What do you want? How fast do you want to get it, okay? We're not talking about doing any intricate forms, jumping around. You don't need a partner. All you need to do is you need the right constitution. You need to know you're going to get in and you're going to practice. You're going to practice for 20 minutes, a half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever you decide. And you're going to focus. You get a mirror. If you're going to work in front of a mirror, here's a hint. Don't get too close to that mirror, because if you punch that mirror, I've had one of my students do this. He cut his knuckle and he screwed up his hand so he couldn't learn to do the punch that I'm showing you, that I'm trying to teach you to do. Okay, is there other punches? Yes. We're working from the belly button up. Later on, after you've spent a minimum of 3 months doing this, every day if you can, I always say train 7 days a week. How much do you really want to learn this, and how bad do you want to get this? So 3 to 6 months down the line, when this becomes so automatic, it's just so beautiful. You don't want to be punching like this, you don't want to lean in, you don't want your shoulders twisting, you want a perfect form. Okay? Then we're going to add the footwork in. There's footwork to the punches that I want to show you. Very simple, very basic. There's no sense in adding footwork to something that you can't do right to begin with. Okay, that's the way I train. I want you to learn, this is the way I train. I want you to learn baby steps. Kiss it. Keep it super simple. And learn the small amount at a time. Just like when you eat your food. You don't take all your food and stick it in your mouth and try to swallow it. You take a bite, you chew it, you swallow it, you take another bite, you cut a piece, whatever. That's how you learn to do the martial arts. And it depends on how sophisticated do you want to get. I see a lot of guys out there, some of them are good, some of them aren't. And they're teaching you and they're giving you what I call too much information. And this is what I don't want to do. I don't want to give you too much information. I want to give you just enough. So I'm telling you what to do. You want to master the punch. You want to be able to have one punch that's what we call iron punch, and you want to have one technique that you kick with that we call iron foot. This way, when you hit somebody, you only have to hit them once. Okay, so if you want more information, you come to capketo.com, defunkinthefunk.com. You'll find me there, and remember, practice, practice, practice. Good, better, best. Never let the rest of your good is better and your better is best. Don't give up. The martial arts is a personal thing, more so than a group thing. Yeah, you can do a group thing. You can go to a school where there's a bunch of people running around screaming and kicking, or you can stay at home and you can focus. This is more or less tailored to the person that don't have time, can't get to a gym, can't go to the dojo. Well, this is perfect. You do this and you will develop a defensive system through Grandmaster Caprio's block system, which you can find at capketo.com or Defunkin the Funk. Thank you for your time and happy training.